you know who made it?
Hello and welcome to the See Me Be Me podcast. Today we are joined by Jennifer Baidoo, who is an experienced leadership and transformational coach with experience of helping organizations become more efficient. Welcome to the podcast, Jennifer.
Thank you.
So tell us, what as a leader, what is transformational change, and how do you help organizations become more efficient?
Right. Thanks for that question. It's an interesting environment to work in because it's about working with organizations that feel like they need to do better than they are doing for various reasons. It could be for internal reasons or external, i.e., competition or regulatory requirements. So it varies depending on what's driving the need for change, and it involves talking with decision makers, steering the conversation, and shaping those conversations, which could be very, very interesting. And finally, identifying exactly what needs to be done. And it does require a good amount of leadership skills because you need to be able to engage with different people, listen, influence, and effect change. So it's very involving, but it is very interesting. Yeah.
And going off the skills that you were talking about, leadership skills, which ones would you say are the most vital for, let's say, anybody looking to jump up the ladder and reach a managerial leadership role, or people who are currently running a business? What skills would you say are the most important or critical?
All skills that one can develop, you find are very useful. So essentially, you need to have the right personal skills. So, as a person, how you carry yourself, you need to have self-respect, self-discipline. You need to be motivated. You need to be self-aware. And of course, you are interacting with people, so you need to have good interpersonal skills.
Yeah.
And then wherever the space in which you work, you're dealing with a domain that specializes in one thing or other, irrespective of what sector they are in. So you need to have awareness and a good knowledge base of the business area, the organizational area, and what they're trying to achieve. So you need quite a number of different skills all put together, and you apply them as you see fit.
Yeah. Jennifer, now I wanted to ask you, in your bio, you mentioned you've had to use different design concepts to guide, let's say, the implementation of, to deliver strategic outcomes. Could you give us an example of when you've had to use this?
Well, yes. So when we talk about transformational change and the aspect that I specifically work in broad terms, is business change. And these are divided, well, this area is divided into sort of two very, very broad areas. So you have the planning aspect and then the delivery aspect. When I started my profession, I worked in the delivery aspect, which is among projects and programs. And as I've developed, I'm working more in the planning aspect where you do design and you do planning strategy. And this is where, being able to use the right concepts, the right models and frameworks to design what's needed come into being. So it's quite a complex area, and you need to have the right training to do that. So just a quick example, if an organization has a strategy and they would like to implement that, you use design concepts and models to be able to show how this can be done in the real life, how they need to change their operating model, for example, even their business model in order to do that. And then you work with the change professionals to embed the change that's needed to achieve that strategy. So yeah, it's a whole broad area. Yeah.
So, Jennifer, how has your background, because originally you studied in computer science, how has that shaped your career? Because obviously now working in professional development, being more of a coach and helping those organizations. How has that computer science background helped you with your career?
That has been my starting point, and different people can have and do have different starting points into their career journey. My background is really very eclectic, so I started in computer science with the very good intention of being a programmer. This more than 20 years ago, it was very exciting to be a programmer. But once I stepped into industry, I discovered a whole lot in that field. There is analysis, business support, working more with people than systems, which sort of suited my personality better. So, that was my starting point, and my journey has taken me to where I am. And as we talk, I think I'll have the opportunity to elaborate on that. So it's basically a situation of having started with a plan and not actually gone to plan, but it served me well.
I wanted to ask Jennifer, just going back to your childhood, who were some of your role models growing up who helped to shape you as you are today?
My greatest role model is my father. I mean, he's no longer with us, God rest his soul, but he's had such an influence on me. And he used to be an army officer, so very, very disciplined. And I learned those skills from him. And the military is very big on strategy and having focus, planning. And I think that at a very early age, I developed those skills from my father because he embedded it in our home and the way we lived. So it just became my nature. And the other aspect is the personal aspect. He wasn't just a military man to me, he was my father. And he raised me to respect myself and to aim high and, not let somebody else define me. And that has really shaped my life, especially when times have been very, very difficult. So my father would be the key person that I will cite as my greatest role model.
I love some of the stuff that you said there that your father taught you about planning. Make sure you're good at planning. Make sure you're disciplined. Don't let someone define you, and that be aim high, be a high achiever. What advice would you give to someone who, let's say, is in a job that they don't like and they're looking to make the transition into something else? What advice would you give them?
Yeah. I do speak to a lot of people and in the professional world and even in personal life. And what I notice is a lot of people do have aspirations, which is good, but they tend to look at other people to do it for them. And, they might comment on, I'm not able to do this because so and so doesn't allow me to. I cannot do this because, I'm not getting the opportunities. And the advice I'll give to everyone is, first look to yourself, look within. You need to know who you are. You need to be very, very realistic about your capabilities and particularly your weaknesses or your limitations. So you need to start with self and be very honest with yourself. And as you go out looking to meet the goals that you have set for you, ask yourself, what value do I have to offer? Nobody owes you anything. So it's not about the world providing for you. It's about you providing value in whatever situation you find yourself. And then, that it opens the door. You may not in the beginning go straight into what you're looking for. And this is where the planning comes in. Start from some point and work towards where you're going. You have a goal. So, there is a destination. That's your destination. Have a path to get there and make sure you enjoy the journey. Yeah.
I mean, in your background, Jennifer, you've worked in the private sector, the public sector, non-for-profit sector as well. So, what common challenges have you encountered in implementing organizational change?
Yes, that's a very good question, Blair, because these are different sectors with all their kind of cultural differences. The common thread is that you work with human beings. Okay, so whichever industry or sector you work in, you are working with human beings. So interpersonal skills, very, very key in any industry. You need to know how to work with people. You have to listen to people. You need to, again, your own personal skills, how you carry yourself, how you see yourself. And it's all about having very, very good people skills. The
Yeah.
knowledge and the hard stuff, the knowledge you have and the skills you've learned um, through your experience or through your education, you can apply, yes, but the difference between success and failure is how well you work with people, because you need to work together to achieve the organization's goals.
And how difficult have you found it? I mean, because like people have like like different interpretations and let's say like feedback, and it's all and part of it's a psychology with different people. So how have you managed to get around that to I guess help to unleash people's full potential?
It is something I'm continuing to work on. You
Yeah,
never sort of become perfect at it. You have to continually work at it. I
yeah,
am in a better place now. So previously, when I was quite young in my career, I would have certain challenges with people, and I would automatically think it's their fault. They have done something wrong. They don't
yeah,
like me. Naturally, you just blame the other person. But as
Mm,
as I've grown in my profession and I've worked with people, coaching and mentoring people and listening to people, also
yeah,
reflecting on my own journey, I've come to a place where if there is perhaps a difficulty or a challenge with another person, the first thing I do is actually self-reflect. So I ask myself,
oh,
what have I not done right? Could I have approached this differently? And just look at it from different perspectives, and always aim to improve the relationship rather than just give up and sort of create barriers. So it's about, and this is why I stress very much on relationships and working with people, is that you need to always have the mindset of being able to establish good relationships based on trust,
yeah.
and always working on them.
mm, mm. And how do your relationships differ between working with let's say a private business and working with the universities? Is there different like strategies and principles that you have to adopt in order to do that? And in terms of that, innovation, the methods that you use, are they completely different between both sectors or both industries, private and let's say non-profit universities?
Yes, my methods or my approach differ. And that's simply because each organization is different. They have their different motivations, they have their different strategies, goals, challenges, and they also have different cultures. So, for example, I've worked in two universities, and they have different cultures. So the same industry, different cultures, and you find that you have to approach things differently. So my methods or my approaches usually are um, to I vary them depending on the culture and what's being worked on and what we would like to achieve. And that is how I would go about doing this. The second part of the question, which if you can remind me, because I know it was a two-part question, right?
Yeah, it was about the relationships. How do they differ between private businesses and let's say non-profits?
Yeah. So, very, very, very high level profit organizations, would like to make profit, right? So that is the motivation. And you're looking at
Mhm.
more of the economic aspect. And this is why, people like myself are very key, because we talk about the triple bottom line. You can't look only at the economic aspect. You've got to look at the social aspect and the environmental aspect. So I'm the voice who's saying, let's look at all of this together. And I think you mentioned, you asked the question around innovation.
Yeah.
I bring innovative methods. So I'm always that sort of pair of eyes, a new set of eyes that would come and look at an organization, critically, and give feedback. And innovation is part of how I do that, because I'm looking at things from a different perspective. I'm bringing sort of a different way of approaching things, especially when there are issues or problems to be resolved. So yeah, it's about combining innovation, working with people, and also appreciating the culture that exists in the organizations.
And then Jennifer, could you give us an example of, let's say, a project where you've had to bridge the gap between corporate strategy and operational implementation? What key lessons did you learn from that experience?
The key lesson is having the right people working together. So multidisciplinary approach is the way to go. So you
Yeah,
find that you're starting from strategy, looking at strategy. Obviously, you will engage with some strategy planning professionals. You
yeah,
are working with business leaders and decision makers. um, and then you've got to work with the operational teams. You have to work with the change teams who will be delivering the change to embed, whatever change is required. And then my domain is, the design area, which is working with designers. So you can have service designers, different types of architects, business analysts doing the analysis. So
yeah,
it's about working with all these different professionals. So I work in multidisciplinary environments, and the
yeah,
key thing here is being able to work with all these different people,
yeah,
having appreciation for their different perspectives, and being able to ensure that they can reach a consensus. Because as you can imagine, different people with different perspectives, sometimes
yeah.
you can have conflicts in a
Yeah,
room.
yeah, I can
Yeah.
imagine like clashes of not clashes of egos, but obviously just clashes of
Thoughts, professional
ideals and
thoughts. Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
And
yeah,
egos, we are human, aren't we? So yeah, there is that. And yeah, so my role is to ensure that I'm facilitating and I'm managing all of that, so we can all reach a consensus and work together, because we're all working towards the same goals, the same
yeah,
objectives. Yeah.
And you've served on a number of boards. You've had some various NED positions.
Mhm.
How have they shaped your thinking or your methods, or what have you learned most from serving on those boards?
I've learned a lot. How have they shaped me? They've developed me as a leader. They've developed me as a decision maker, and most of all, they've developed me as somebody who can work with other people to achieve the right goals. And I'm forever learning. I'm forever growing as a professional, as a person, and I would give a lot of credit to the boards that I've worked on and the people I've worked with on these boards. It's a place where you go to discover yourself, whilst you're learning to work with other people who also have strong views, just like yourself, but you have to work together collaboratively in order to help an organization to grow. So it's about being aware of the goals that you need to achieve for the organization, and drive it forward. And there's a lot of self-awareness you need to bring with you in order
Mm,
to, again, not have your ego leading the way, and be able to work with people. Yeah.
yeah. And there might be a couple of young professionals listening to this who either thought about sitting on an NED board, or probably not never thought about it. But how would what would be the best steps in approaching to get one of those NED roles? Because there's so few of them, aren't there? So what would be the
Yes.
best steps into sitting on a board?
Right. Um, you know, yes. I am hesitating a bit, because I do not want to be too prescriptive. I always make allowance for opportunities that come in different ways. So open yourself to those opportunities,
yeah,
and if you
Mm,
feel like you want to have that experience on the board, then by all means, let your desires be known. As a young professional, the first advice I would give is have mentors around you, talk to other people who are experienced, learn from them, learn from their experiences, and share with them what your thoughts are and what your desires are, and they will steer you. Also read a lot, attend conferences, listen. There is Burn that helps people to the organization Burn that helps people to support organizations on board. And if you want to grow your profession and grow yourself on a board, then there are organizations like Burn that would help you to do that. So
Yeah.
I would say that by all means have the confidence to do it, but be humble about it and know that you have to learn, and you have all these structures in place to help you to get on the ladder and grow as a professional. So yeah.
Yeah.
Jennifer, you've already done the plug for me. I was gonna plug Burn after that, but you've already done it. So excellent. Go on, sorry, Blair. You had a question.
Yeah, I was just going to say, Jennifer, like, given your, because I believe you're examiner with the British Computer Society. So I wanted to ask, given your involvement with the British Computer Society, can you discuss any emerging trends or challenges in the field of information technology and how they might impact organizational effectiveness?
Yes, information technology is a sector that keeps growing. You blink and then there's something new. There are so many emerging technologies, and you have to keep up with it. So, there is a lot going on. These days, we hear a lot about AI, for example.
Yeah.
It's not entirely new. AI has existed for years and years, so you will find that these concepts and technologies have existed, but they evolve, and they do come and they become sort of a trend depending
Yeah.
on what's going on. So it's worth being very aware of what's new, what's emerging. Technology supports everything we do. You cannot get away from it. So even if you do not describe yourself as an IT professional, you still need to be aware. We all use technology, so you have to be aware of what's out there, what's going on, how does it affect you as a person.
Yeah.
Now, my involvement with the British Computer Society as an examiner, and also as a subject matter expert on a
Yeah.
working group, is to ensure that organizations like the British Computer Society, who would like to ensure that we have the right standards and professionalism, are also meeting the needs of the industry and the real world. So
Yeah.
people like me ensure that the organizations are aware of what's going on in the real world, what's needed, so they can upgrade what they offer, and also that the people in the real world are actually working to the right professionalism and standards that have been set. So I do have two roles that sort of help the organizations like the British Computer Society to be relevant, and
Yeah.
then professionals to have the right qualifications and standards and professionalism that's needed as the industry grows.
What is the most rewarding aspect for you for the work that you do?
Yeah.
And I suppose the second one was, what's the next big project or goal that you're working on?
Right. So yeah, the work I do, I go into organizations when they have problems, when maybe they are failing, something isn't going right. So I
Yeah.
am, one of those rather strange people who is attracted to problems, so I will go in when they need help with something. And what is rewarding is when I've been able to help them to get back on track, to become resilient, and when they've achieved the goals that they would like to achieve. So for me, that is success in terms of what I do. But over and above that, I'm always working with other professionals and helping them to grow in their professional life. So it's something that I do spend a lot of time doing. And
Yeah.
again, for me, that's the bigger reward, is when I can help other people to achieve their potential, and
Mm.
overcome, whatever setbacks they think they have in life. and that is very, very rewarding to me as a person. In terms of what's the next big thing for me, I think that the way my life has carved out, where I've always tend to land where I didn't think I was going, I've
Yeah.
come to a point now where, to be honest, I don't bother to plan where I'm going because I know I will land somewhere and I know it will be in a good place. So I just keep going. And that's the exciting part because I don't know where I'm going, but I know it's going to be a good place. I just keep going. And then when I discover it, it's like, okay, we're here now. So yeah, maybe in a
Amazing.
year or two, yeah, I will tell you where I am. And that's where I found myself.
Maybe we'll have to get you on another podcast episode
I
a
think
year or
so,
two
yeah.
later. Just say, where is Jennifer now from
Yes.
2 years ago or a year ago? Amazing.
You know who made it.
So,
Mhm.
what we're going to do now, Jennifer, is we're going to head to the bonus questions part of
All
the
right.
podcast where
Mhm.
we're going to ask you three little fun questions so
Okay.
our audience get to, know a little bit more about you and some of the fun and interesting things.
Mhm.
So, first question we'll ask is, if you could have any superpower, what
Ooh.
would it be and why?
Oh wow. Jeez. If I had any superpower, gosh, I think I think peace. Peace is what I would I would like to use my superpower for. Just to have some peace in the world. There is a lot of unrest at the moment, globally.
Mm,
Yeah.
And if I could just help to bring some calm and peace into the world, that is what I'd use my power for. Yeah.
nice, nice,
Nice.
nice. And so the next one is, if you could throw a dinner party, this evening, and you could invite three guests from the past or the
Mhm.
present, who would you invite?
Okay. I'm glad you asked that because I'm sitting here thinking, oh gosh, there are three people I haven't mentioned that I really, would like to mention because they've been very key in my life. So I think I'm just going to go for those three people, and it will
Hmm.
be Marilyn Comrie, Claire Ibri,
Oh,
and
Oh.
Patricia. Oh,
Mm.
can't remember Patricia's name now, surname, but yeah, my good friend Patricia. And these are people I've met um through my professional life,
Yeah.
but they have been very supportive to me in a social aspect. So, I
mhm.
know I've talked a lot about, having the right people around you, mentors, etc. And I've mentioned a few names already, but you are human and you have a social aspect. So you
Yeah.
need to have the right people that you can talk to, that will share their experiences with you. And those three women, and they all happen to be women, have been key in my life. They are mentors to me in different ways. They have been very, very supportive. And if I could throw a dinner party and have three people, it will be these three women. I do respect them a lot. I'm very grateful for what they've done and continue to do in my life. And yeah, I will have them
Amazing,
three around me. Yeah,
amazing. So that's
socialize.
Patricia, Marilyn, and what was the third one?
Claire, Claire
Fair.
Ibri.
Claire, Claire Brew.
Yeah.
Amazing. And well, so shout out to those three ladies
Hmm.
on the podcast. I know them all well. And then the last question we have is,
Hmm.
what would be a hobby or interest that you have that
Hmm.
most people would believe um, you'd be interested in?
Okay. So, oh my God. Right. Um, this is a bit embarrassing, but I'm going to say it. So, just just a couple of weeks ago, and don't ask me why, I decided I'm going to learn to skate. I don't skate. I don't know how
Mm.
to skate. So I've decided I'm going to challenge myself to skate. I've actually got the skates there, yeah, and all the gear for keeping me safe. And
Oh.
yeah, that's something I'm going to do. For now, I do gardening. I like to dance. I like to travel. and you know that's good. But this is a new thing I've decided to do to challenge myself. So there you go. That's my new
Amazing.
interest.
Amazing. So who roped you into that, or is that always been an interest that you've always had, and you've just waited till now to learn, or?
You know, yeah, I think I've always wanted to skate. I just haven't ever done it. I do
Yeah.
admire people who skate, and I've got to a point now I'm thinking, you know, yeah, why not? So yeah.
So we might see you in the future on Blackpool or Brighton Beach, skating on the beach. I'll be like, oh,
Yeah,
that's Jennifer.
you see me picking myself off the floor. That I can assure you.
Forget
Yeah.
Tony Hawk and his skateboards. It's going to be Jennifer and her roller skates.
Hmm.
Amazing. Fantastic. Well,
Yeah.
no, that's all we've got time for on this episode of the CBBB podcast. Just want to say thank you, Jennifer,
Hmm.
for being a guest. And what we do now is that we leave it to our guests to close us out. And, this is their opportunity to plug any social media, any books they've written, websites, opportunity for people to connect with you. The floor is yours.
All right. Thank you very much, Niall. Thanks, Blair, for having this conversation, which I've really, really enjoyed. I've never actually sat down and talked about myself and my professional journey. So giving me this opportunity to do that today, thank you so much. And the message I'd like to leave for everyone is, be grateful for who you are. Each of us is here on this earth for a purpose, and you fit, a certain place where there is a purpose why you're here. So be proud of who you are, be happy with who you are, and know that you are relevant, you add value. There are difficulties, and you will find that no matter who you are, there are some aspects of life, especially in the professional life, that you will find challenging. There are all sorts of barriers, but don't let that stop you. Don't let that stop you. Always think positively about yourself, and learn how to navigate these barriers.
Yeah.
Have people around you. I've mentioned names. I mentioned Renee Carriol, Colin Hutchinson, Dave Henry, and I was mentioning just a while ago Claire Ibri, Marilyn Comrie, and Patricia Morris. I forgot her surname. It's Patricia Morris. It's come to me now. And these are just a few people I've met along the journey. But do surround yourself with people who will support you, because it's a rough journey, and you will find times when it's very hard going, and you need these people around you to pick you up.
Yeah.
So yeah, enjoy what you do, enjoy your journey, and um, I'm Jennifer Baidoo. I'm on LinkedIn. Do look me up, if you want to talk about anything at all. I am just, somebody who likes to talk to people, like to support people, like to help people. So yeah, do connect with me. And, if there's anything I can do to help you, by all means, I will do. Thank you very much, Nal and Blair, for giving me this platform to open up about my journey. Thank you.
As well, thanks, Jennifer.
It's
Okay.
been a great episode, and yeah, we'll definitely have to catch up on a future episode. 2 years from now, expert pro skater, we'll get you back on. Take care, Jennifer.
All right. Okay. Thank you. Bye for now.